When I pulled into the long, winding gravel driveway, lined with ancient maples and overgrown lilac bushes that still bloomed faintly even in late spring, the late morning sunlight filtering through the leaves in soft golden patches on the hood of my car, I felt a rush of relief that the hardest part of my day was finally behind me. The overnight school workshop on new reading curriculum standards had been grueling, hours of lectures, group discussions, endless handouts. But it was done. I'd been away from Laya for less than 24 hours, just one night, yet every minute had felt stretched and heavy. As I climbed the familiar, creaky wooden steps of the old farmhouse porch, the same porch where Ethan used to sit every summer evening in his faded plaid shirt, strumming soft chords on his old acoustic guitar while fireflies blinked like tiny lanterns in the yard, I smiled in anticipation of the usual joyful explosion. Laya bursting through the screen door, her dark curls bouncing wildly, ladybug rain boots thumping against the weathered floorboards, arms flung wide open, that radiant, gap-toothed smile promising that no amount of time apart could ever dim how much she loved me. But today, the porch was unnaturally quiet. No eager footsteps, no delighted squeal of, "Mommy's here!" The screen door stayed closed, the only movement the slow, lazy sway of the old porch swing creaking in the gentle breeze. I knocked once, politely. Then again, a little louder. After what felt like forever, Eleanor appeared behind the mesh, her face pale and drawn, shadows under her eyes deeper than I remembered. She opened the door slowly, without a smile or greeting, just a curt nod. Laya stood half-hidden in the dim hallway behind her, small frame pressed against the wall, clutching her beloved teddy bear Marbles so tightly that his worn brown fur bunched under her tiny fingers. Her big brown eyes, Ethan's eyes, were fixed firmly on the scuffed floorboards, avoiding mine completely. Her shoulders were hunched forward, her usual bright energy snuffed out like a candle in the wind. Something cold and sharp twisted deep in my stomach. I dropped to my knees immediately, arms wide open. "Come here, my sweet girl, Mommy's home." She hesitated, just a heartbeat, but long enough to send ice through my veins, then shuffled forward into the hug. Her little arms wrapped around my neck with desperate strength, fingers digging into my sweater as though she feared I might disappear again if she let go even for a second. I could feel her heart hammering against my chest, her breaths coming in quick, shallow puffs against my shoulder. I stroked her back in slow circles, whispering soft, nonsense words. "It's okay, baby. I'm right here, I've got you." But the unease only grew stronger, a heavy weight settling in my chest. We walked to the car hand in hand, her steps small and hesitant. I buckled her into the booster seat, adjusted the straps carefully, brushed a stray curl from her forehead with trembling fingers. "Did you have fun with Grandma?" I asked, trying to sound light and cheerful. Silence. She stared out the side window at the endless golden cornfield sliding past, dust motes dancing in the sunlight that streamed through the glass. After what felt like an eternity, she leaned toward me and whispered so softly I almost missed it over the low hum of the engine. "Mommy, Grandma said I should never, ever tell you what I saw. She said if I told, something really bad would happen to me. Or to you." The words hit like a physical blow. My heart lurched violently against my ribs. The world narrowed to her pale face and those huge, frightened eyes. I twisted in the driver's seat so sharply the seatbelt cut into my collarbone. "Laya, sweetheart," I managed, forcing my voice to stay calm even as my pulse roared in my ears. "You can tell Mommy anything, always. What did you see?" Her lower lip trembled. Tears shimmered at the edges of her lashes but didn't fall yet. In a rush of small, shaking words, she described it. A girl in the basement, locked in a dark room with no windows, only a thin blanket on the cold concrete floor instead of a bed, crying softly, saying her arm hurt so much, wearing dirty flower pajamas, hair tangled and matted. Grandma had warned her not to look, not to speak to the girl, not to tell anyone, especially not Mommy, because she isn't real and it's our secret. Each detail landed like a hammer blow, precise and vivid, far too specific for a 5-year-old's invention. My hands shook so badly on the steering wheel that I had to pull over onto the shoulder for a moment. Without another thought, I grabbed my phone from the center console and dialed 911, my voice cracking as I tried to explain to the dispatcher what my daughter had just told me. My name is Hannah Elizabeth Carter. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a quiet, tree-lined suburb on the western edge of Columbus, Ohio. During the day, I'm a third-grade teacher at Maplewood Elementary, spelling bees, recess duty on the blacktop, wiping away tears over broken crayons, celebrating when a child finally masters the cursive Q. But the role that truly defines me, the one that gives every breath meaning, is being Leah Rose Carter's mother. Laya, 5 years old going on 30, with wild dark curls that refuse every ponytail holder, a laugh that sounds like wind chimes on a summer porch, an endless curiosity about ladybugs, constellations, why the sky turns pink at sunset, and whether Marbles the teddy bear has dreams when he sleeps. She is my entire universe, the light that pulled me through the darkest days. 3 years ago, almost to the day, that light nearly went out. Ethan, my husband, Laya's father, was driving home on a cold, endless November night, rain sheeting across the windshield, take-out Thai food warm on the passenger seat. He'd called me at 8:37 p.m. to say he was 10 minutes away, voice tired but warm. Save me some of that pad, see you, babe. He never made it. A delivery truck ran a red light at 60 miles an hour. The impact was catastrophic. Police said he died instantly. No pain, no suffering. I was folding tiny pink socks in the living room when the knock came. 2 officers stood on the doorstep, rain dripping from their hats, faces grave. Laya slept upstairs in her crib, thumb in mouth, oblivious. I remember the phone slipping from my fingers, the room tilting sideways, how I kept whispering, "No, that can't be right," as though repetition could undo reality. For months afterward, she toddled to the front door every evening at 6:15, clutching her stuffed rabbit, peering out the glass panel and asking in her baby voice, "Daddy home now?" Each time I knelt, gathered her close, swallowed the sob in my throat and whispered, "Not tonight, sweet girl, but Mommy's here forever." The questions eventually stopped, but the empty space never filled, a quiet, permanent ache in every room. We rebuilt slowly, piece by piece. Friday nights became macaroni and cheese with extra cheddar nights, eaten picnic-style on the living room floor while watching old Disney movies. Saturdays meant fluffy blueberry pancake faces with chocolate chip smiles. Bedtime always included our silly song about a dancing toothbrush we invented when she was 3. She still insists I lie beside her every night until her breathing evens out into sleep. Some nights I stay for hours, hand resting lightly on her back, counting each rise and fall, letting the rhythm remind me that we are both still here, still breathing, still fighting. Single motherhood is a constant tightrope walk between overwhelming love and bone-deep fear. Every fever feels like an emergency room visit waiting to happen. Every late parent-teacher conference sparks panic that she'll think I've disappeared like Daddy. I overcompensate. Extra hugs, extra bedtime stories, extra, "I love you more than the moon and all the stars," whispered into her hair. But we thrive in our small, sacred routines. We dance barefoot in the kitchen to 90s pop hits. We plant marigolds in the backyard every spring. She teaches me wonder and resilience every single day. Eleanor, Ethan's mother, my mother-in-law, lived 40 minutes away in the same faded white clapboard farmhouse where he grew up. Creaky oak floors, floral wallpaper yellowed with age, the faint perpetual scent of old wood, lavender sachets, and wood smoke. After the funeral, she offered practical help, frozen casseroles, occasional afternoon babysitting, even checks when medical bills piled up. But emotional warmth was always absent. She was polite, reserved, quietly critical. At Ethan's service, she barely looked at me. Her gaze stayed locked on the casket as though I were somehow responsible for the rain that soaked us all that day. I felt perpetually judged, never quite measuring up to whatever ideal she had for her son's wife. Yet she was Laya's only living grandparent on his side. the last living link to his childhood stories, his scraped knees in the barn, his first fishing trips on the creek behind the house. So I swallowed my discomfort and allowed short visits, holiday afternoons, summer picnics in the yard. Never overnight, until the workshop left me no choice. The retreat was important, career-advancing, district-mandated, but it meant one night away. My sister was on a cruise, my parents retired in Florida. Eleanor was the only realistic option. When I called, silence stretched across the line before her cool reply. "Of course, Hannah. I've been waiting years for you to finally trust me with her longer than 2 hours." The words stung like a slap, but I pushed it down. Laya would be safe. It was only one night. Drop-off morning. Laya twirled in her ladybug rain boots, despite clear skies, bubbling with excitement about showing Grandma how she could read the first 3 pages of The Princess and the Pea all by herself. I packed with obsessive care, goldfish crackers in the shape of little fish, spare outfit in case of spills, marbles, of course, her favorite book, pink sparkly toothbrush, detailed emergency note taped inside the backpack. Eleanor took the bag without meeting my eyes. "You're sure she has everything she needs?" I asked, hating how anxious I sounded. She sighed sharply. "Hannah, I raised Ethan. One night with my granddaughter won't defeat me." I knelt, hugged Leia so tightly she giggled, kissed her soft cheek. "Mommy will be back tomorrow before lunch, okay? Be good and have fun." She waved enthusiastically as I drove away, but as the farmhouse shrank in the rearview mirror, that uneasy knot in my stomach tightened. I told myself it was normal mother guilt, just nerves. So I swallowed my discomfort and allowed short visits, holiday afternoons, summer picnics in the yard. Never overnight, until the workshop left me no choice. The retreat was important, career-advancing, district-mandated, but it meant one night away. My sister was on a cruise, my parents retired in Florida. Eleanor was the only realistic option. When I called, silence stretched across the line before her cool reply. "Of course, Hannah. I've been waiting years for you to finally trust me with her longer than 2 hours." The words stung like a slap, but I pushed it down. Laya would be safe. It was only one night. Drop-off morning. Laya twirled in her ladybug rain boots, despite clear skies, bubbling with excitement about showing Grandma how she could read the first 3 pages of The Princess and the Pea all by herself. I packed with obsessive care, goldfish crackers in the shape of little fish, spare outfit in case of spills, marbles, of course, her favorite book, pink sparkly toothbrush, detailed emergency note taped inside the backpack. Eleanor took the bag without meeting my eyes. "You're sure she has everything she needs?" I asked, hating how anxious I sounded. She sighed sharply. "Hannah, I raised Ethan. One night with my granddaughter won't defeat me." I knelt, hugged Leia so tightly she giggled, kissed her soft cheek. "Mommy will be back tomorrow before lunch, okay? Be good and have fun." She waved enthusiastically as I drove away, but as the farmhouse shrank in the rearview mirror, that uneasy knot in my stomach tightened. I told myself it was normal mother guilt, just nerves. The next morning the house felt wrong, curtains drawn tight in the middle of daylight, no cheerful cartoon music leaking through the windows, no sound of little feet running. Eleanor opened the door looking exhausted, hair haphazardly pinned. Laya sat rigid on the edge of the faded floral couch, knees pulled to her chest, marbles crushed against her. She looked up, but didn't smile, didn't call my name. I knelt. "Hey, baby, did you miss Mommy?" Tiny nod. I reached to tuck a curl behind her ear. She flinched, just slightly, but enough to notice. Eleanor watched from the hallway, arms crossed. "We played games. She stayed up late," she said flatly. "Probably tired." I gathered Laya's things, thanked her by reflex, led my daughter to the car. Eleanor didn't follow us outside. In the car, once buckled, I turned to her. "Did Grandma take good care of you?" Long silence. Then her whisper, "Mommy." "Grandma said never to tell you what I saw." Everything stopped. I asked gentle questions. She told me everything again. More details this time. The girl's dirty hair, the flower pajamas, how she whispered, "My arm hurts," through tears, how Grandma made her promise on her pinky. My blood ran cold. This wasn't imagination. This was memory. Raw, terrified, precise. I called my best friend Olivia, the child psychologist. "Hannah," she said without hesitation, "children don't fabricate pain, secrecy, and explicit instructions not to tell. That's eyewitness trauma. Call the police immediately." I did. Then I couldn't sit still. I left Leia with Olivia, who arrived in minutes and sat down to build block towers like nothing was wrong, and drove back to the farmhouse. Confrontation at the door, lies about the picnic dress for marbles, basement refusal, Eleanor's sharp, "Don't open that," police lights flashing, discovery, Ana Martinez, thin, pale, terrified, hidden for 3 weeks in a secret room behind a false wall, padlock, no windows, thin mattress, single dim bulb, barely enough food, untreated broken arm. Eleanor in handcuffs, chin high, muttering she was protecting the girl from imagined conspiracies she'd absorbed in dark online forums. Headlines exploded, reporters at my door, supportive texts, nightmares for Laya, waking crying, begging for lights left on, therapy sessions where she drew pictures, me and her holding hands, the other girl finally free. Her quiet words to the therapist. She didn't want me to tell, but I knew Mommy would believe me. I cried in the car afterward, not panic, but deep, grateful tears. After Ethan, I'd doubted if I was enough. That sentence proved I was. Eleanor charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, endangerment, convicted, contact severed forever. One quiet night a month later, as I tucked Laya in, she asked sleepily, "Mommy, am I a hero?" I kissed her forehead. "You're my hero, baby. And you're a hero to Anna, too. You saved her with your brave little voice." She smiled, pulled marbles close, drifted off. I stayed in her room long after, listening to her steady breathing. I thought how easily this could have ended differently if she'd stayed silent out of fear, if I'd dismissed her words as a child's fancy, if help had come too late. We imagine heroes as bold, loud, fearless. But sometimes heroes are small and scared. Sometimes they whisper, sometimes they clutch a teddy bear and speak a truth that changes everything. Laya taught me the deepest lesson of my life. Listening to children isn't optional, it's sacred. Their voices, soft, hesitant, trembling, are often the first warning, the purest truth. When we believe them, we don't just protect them, we empower them. We give the world a chance to heal. If this story touched you even a little, pause and think about the children around you. Who trusts you enough to share the scary things? Who needs you to listen without doubt or dismissal? The smallest voice can carry the biggest truth. Believing one child can save another. If it moved you, please like this. Share it with someone who needs the reminder that listening saves lives. Drop your own story in the comments. Have you ever almost missed something important a child tried to tell you? Subscribe for more real, raw stories about courage, fragility, grief, love, and the quiet power of belief. Thank you for reading every word. Stay safe, stay kind, and always, always listen.